A legislative teacher compensation task force has wrapped its work and offered principles to guide future policymaking on teacher pay. Task force leaders say it's not their job to craft the actual policy, just set the stage with a list of guidelines. But a few points are offered. One is that beginning teacher salaries are too low and need to rise, as do the salaries of teachers on the job but with less than 10 years experience. And for veteran teachers, they may be waiting a while for a pay increase until a longer-term compensation strategy is crafted. Date to be determined.
This task force really isn't making any express recommendation with respect to that. It's really from a compensation system perspective is saying we know that as a starting point, increasing starting teacher pay will work with any kind of compensation system we do.
The task force features professional educators who say they had input throughout the process, but they didn't seem to realize the final written report couldn't be amended once they received it at the final hearing. So they're taking issue with young teachers getting pay hikes while the veterans must wait for more studies on how to pay them a higher salary.
There's some good pieces in the plan, but there's some things that we need to work out and flesh out.
Like what?
Making sure that all teachers get a raise, because until we can raise the salaries of all teachers, we still making teachers feel disenfranchised.
To do what you want to do and raise everybody at the same time takes a lot of money. The reason we put this one in there is the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate have committed to do this for beginning teachers. Since the number one problem that was put before the governor from the teacher advisory task force, teacher advisory group that he had, was that we're losing our beginning teachers to other states. If that's the number one problem, and you only have a limited amount of money, where do you start?
The task force report questions the validity of master's degrees making teachers better educators, but it does concede that base pay matters in keeping teachers and hiring new ones. It requests that lawmakers pass legislation ordering the State Board of Education to study teacher compensation and issue another report. Democratic Representative Tricia Cotham takes issue with it.
When I hear things like it's a long-term study or we can't do this now, I heard those same things from my party years ago. I hear it from your party today. As I said to them at the time, that's a bunch of fluff, so I repeat the message again. This is a disappointing report, and it's going to be real hard to sell.
The task force findings suggest some short-term goals and long-term goals, but Republicans say short-term doesn't mean action during the short session this summer, and long-term shouldn't be equated with action to be taken in early 2015.
We don't know where the money is. And if the money's not there, you cannot spend money you don't have. So that's why we just said short-term, long-term, and didn't define it.
As if we keep saying we're going to study it or we're going to give another group the opportunity to present on it, how does that help a teacher today? How does that help a teacher this summer who is struggling? It doesn't. And that's the real big issue that we need to look at. And we're just passing the buck on and trying to blame legislative language, policy, codes, and that's what's happening again.
Task Force co-chairman Representative Rob Bryan says this report should not be considered on par with any upcoming budget considerations about 2014 teacher pay raises. He says his task force work should focus on the structure of teacher compensation, where teachers, no matter their experience, are best paid when students perform well.
There will be people mad no matter what compensation system we come up with. There'll be some people happy no matter what system is come up with. And I said if we were to all sit in a room and fight it out for a few days, who knows what we'd come up with. But we'd still be debating when we walked out the door under any circumstance, I think.
The task force met a total of 4 times. It ends with a report listing those broad suggestions, but not a concrete plan for completely overhauling teacher compensation. It does focus on appealing to new teachers to come work in North Carolina and to keep young teachers in the classroom. They can leave easily before they get settled into their careers. And as for you veteran teachers, it means no action. But the task force is not the budget writing committee. And even the task force will tell you that. Kelly McCullen reporting, Legislative Week in Review.